A few months ago, mysteriously, a new official Minecraft server appeared created by Mojang and Microsoft themselves. Help us test our server tech was the only information provided about the server before it went down and disappeared after only a few days without a trace. And then a few months later, only about a month ago now, a new official Minecraft server created by the same team who run the famous event, the Minecraft Championship, would appear. SoulSteel, a new server officially endorsed and promoted by Microsoft and Mojang themselves, something they haven't done for any other server in years, had just released. A completely custom Minecraft multiplayer experience unlike any other. But diving a little deeper and it becomes clear, the server has many pay-to-win mechanics and goods, which the server seemingly deliberately designed around requiring. Let's explore Minecraft's new official server that is also pay-to-win. So, this is SoulSteel. It's a new official partnered Bedrock server, the first new Bedrock server we've had in over a year and a half, created by Nox Crew, the same company who runs the very popular Minecraft Championship monthly event, as well as the popular MCC Islands minigame server on Java. SoulSteel, from its description and marketing, is a Minecraft dungeon crawler with RPG elements including dungeons, custom mobs, quests, adventures, rare items, dark secrets, and more. Quite a unique server, that's for sure. And even more unique is the fact that it's the only Bedrock server that does not have a public player count listed. As to why? Well, this might become clearer later on. Mojang and Microsoft have been promoting SoulSteel on their official Minecraft social media and outlets, as well as even in-game on Bedrock. This is something Microsoft really wants players to play. It's the first time I've seen them promote a Minecraft server in a very long time, especially in this way. So, let's do just that. Upon joining the server, you can already tell it's very custom and high quality. There's a completely unique start screen, hilariously, which already throws the server store right in your face, so you can pay to win from minute 1, more on that later, and upon actually playing, you'll notice that even the movement and combat is all custom and non-vanilla. This is one notable advantage Bedrock multiplayer has over Java. If you wanted this kind of custom movement and combat, you would need to use mods and run a modded server, whereas on Bedrock it's possible without. Anywho, things looked very immersive already as I went through the tutorial area and learned how to play, although there was already one big issue. I'm not sure if this is because of my high ping playing from Australia, but there was a very big and noticeable delay between when I would click my mouse to attack and when the attack would actually go through. I would click my mouse to attack, then half a second later, the attack would actually happen, making combat feel very clunky and delayed. Now, this may be due to my ping as mentioned, but I have never experienced something like this before on any other Bedrock or Java server, which I also play with high ping. I decided to just do my best to ignore it for this review of the server though. The tutorial was straightforward as we headed to the first main town or area, which once again all visually and thematically looked great, seemingly inspired by the now 22-year-old game Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. The NPCs were very unique and well designed, as were their specific shops for their professions. Even the custom GUIs were all clearly high effort. A+ for design, theme and art so far. Also hilariously, literally the very first quest we get when in this new main area was to go to this specific NPC, which opens the server store. Even one of the 2 items you start with in your inventory is a button to go to the store too. They really are throwing the store in your face here, more than even the most egregiously monetized Java servers do. We'll come back to the store later though, as first we need to go through SoulSteel's core gameplay loop. But first, let me show you guys something I'm sure you've never seen before, and it's this video sponsor, WOWCube. WOWCube is a premium high-end interactive futuristic cube that blends the physical and digital together. The cube feels like something straight out of Cyberpunk. It's nice and heavy, and there are 24 individual screens that can be moved exactly like a typical cube, allowing you to play a variety of unique games and puzzles. Here's my favorite game, 2048, which felt surprisingly smooth to play. You can shake the cube 3 times to go back to the main menu, and there are even games like Cut the Rope, which you can play where you tilt the cube around. It's really quite a fun way to stimulate your imagination and really get you thinking. Despite how high-tech it looks, the WOWCube is really easy to use and move around, ground, it doesn't feel like it's going to break at all. And there's a variety of games you can pick from, so you'll never get bored. Check out the innovative WOWCube using my link in the description below. Soon after visiting the main town, Port Fortuna, you'll quickly be directed to Old Kingdom, another major area where you'll find the first dungeon, the Valley of Wealth. The way these dungeons work is you enter them, have a time limit, and have to try to collect as much coin as possible by picking it up off the floor, killing mobs, or opening chests and other hidden treasures. However, you have to leave the dungeon before the time limit runs out, otherwise you'll fail it and won't get any of the rewards. You can extend the duration you can spend in the dungeon by collecting chrono essence from the ground, which will increase your dungeon level, giving you more time. Every dungeon run you get a grade ranging from F for fail to S+, depending on how much coin you collect. The mobs in the first dungeon are all custom and have levels ranging from 1 to around 15, and the dungeon design visually and thematically is really cool once again. Parts of it really do feel quite adventurous, like this part here where a boulder rolls by and you flick a lever to stop it, then enter a mini skeleton den who are guarding gold. The dungeons really do feel like actual dungeons with secrets that you have to explore, rather than just mob arenas with waves of mobs spawning over and over as most servers' dungeons are, and the further and deeper you explore and get, the more powerful the mobs get and the more lucrative the rewards could be. Because you only have limited time too, you have to explore the dungeon in a few runs beforehand, using it to plan your route or path for your next attempts to maximize your time efficiency, which I liked a lot. Another thing I really liked, which is often a criticism I've had of certain other Bedrock RPG type servers, is that SoulSteel isn't super easy. There are mobs deeper in the dungeon which if you fight too early will 1 or 2 shot you, meaning you have to grind a bit first. It's all trial and error, you will fail, and that's part of the learning process, which I think is great game design. And that's essentially the core gameplay loop. You enter these dungeons, explore them, figure out what path to go to get the most gold, whilst leveling it up to get more time and completing quests in the process to earn resources and materials to upgrade and acquire better gear. Quite a unique gameplay loop for a Minecraft server if I do say so myself. Can't say I've seen anything quite like this before. But as I got further into the gameplay loop, this is where the first major issue quickly became evident, and it's the fact that the combat is simply not very fun or engaging. Besides just spam clicking your sword, which does the exact same attacks every time, no matter if you left or right click, there's really nothing else to the combat. You basically walk up to a few mobs, mash your left click and strafe left and right a few times until they die. That's it. It gets very boring very fast. My finger even started to get sore, so I just bound left click to one of my mouse buttons and held that instead. Different mobs don't really have that different of attacks either, not enough to make you change your attack approach at least, so combat doesn't dynamically change depending on the situation. You do essentially the same thing to every mob in the game. It doesn't help that the quests you get are also quite repetitive, for the most part just making you do the same things over and over, rather than challenging you to go further into the dungeon. For example, one of the quests was to complete 6 gold hoard objectives, which are just special set objectives where you have to kill a certain amount of mobs in an area to get gold. The thing is, rather than making you do 1 or 2 of each of the various difficulty gold hoards in the dungeon, you can just do the same 1 or 2 easy ones over and over. These quests feel arbitrarily grindy for no reason other than to artificially slow your progress. And the quests only get more repetitive the further you get too. The last quest for this dungeon requires you to level it up to level 15 and beat it. After doing everything prior, I was only level 8, halfway there, and was already getting pretty bored, not wanting to do the same thing over and over for another 1 to 2 hours. Luckily, I discovered that it was actually faster to complete this quest if I just went a specific path and collected chrono essence, then immediately left the dungeon, ignoring all mobs and everything else, just running past them. This took about 25 seconds to do per run and was notably faster for leveling up the dungeon than doing a 3 to 4 minute complete run. So I just mindlessly did this to level 15 instead. And once at level 15, there wasn't even a cool boss or anything to fight. I just entered the dungeon once, immediately left, and boom, quest complete. Now, upon completing the quest line for this dungeon, I unlocked another different dungeon. I was hoping that it would have some new mobs, maybe some new mechanics, or just anything different to revitalize revitalize my interest, but unfortunately this dungeon was essentially the same thing all over again. While it was a different build which was fun to explore and well built, the actual gameplay was identical. The mobs were basically the same, the combat was the same, in fact even the quests I got were exactly the same as the previous dungeon too. At this point I realized that this was the entire rest of the gameplay summed up right here, the same mostly uninteresting combat loop over and over with slightly more challenging mobs, and honestly I didn't want to spend another 2 or so hours completing the second dungeon just to likely unlock another where I would have to do the same thing. The big issue with SoulSteel that I, as well as others, identified from playing was that most of its players and you guys are still not subscribed to my channel, which isn't grindy at all to do, mind you, only 1 click required, no pressure of course. Anyways, the big issue is that progression was slow and repetitive. It didn't feel like my progress was limited by skill, lack of good enough gear, or anything like that, as is the case normally with RPGs, but rather by quests and levels I had to achieve that were designed to artificially slow my progress. That final quest where I had to get my dungeon level to 15 rather than beat a tough mob or boss was the perfect example of that. It just slowed down my progress for no other reason than to make things more grindy. It wasn't challenging at all, just extremely repetitive. I'm certainly not the only one who felt this way either, which I quickly discovered. You see, another issue the server has is that it doesn't really feel like a server at all. You barely see any people while playing, and there's no player trade, market or any of the sort, and while there is an in-game chat, I didn't see a single person type in it. It feels more like a single player mod or adventure map, which might be why they hid the player count on the Bedrock server screen. This especially becomes noticeable once you finish the first dungeon, as while I would see a few other people in the first dungeon whilst grinding, as soon as I got to the second I didn't see a single other player, likely because very few make it past the first to unlock the second. I even participated in an event and I was the only one who showed up. It felt so lonely. And here's the thing, I don't have any issue with grindy games. I've spent over 3,000 hours playing Rocket League, which is just the same thing over and over. I invested over 150 hours into maxing out a character when Diablo 4 released too. The issue is, SoulSteel's gameplay loop is boring. I don't mind playing Rocket League and doing the same thing for 3,000 hours straight, because doing that same thing over and over is endlessly fun. I didn't mind grinding nightmare dungeons in Diablo, killing the same mobs over and over, because dashing around fighting mobs was fun and challenging, but here in SoulSteel, holding left click and strafing every so often is not really that fun or engaging. If SoulSteel's combat gameplay loop was more dynamic and enjoyable, or the mobs had more variety in attacks and fights, then I'd have absolutely no issues with this grindy setup, as I would likely enjoy the grind much more as I did with other grindy games. But as it stands now, I cannot see myself grinding for hours on end when this is all I really get to do. This is really my core and only issue with SoulSteel's gameplay too, mind you. Everything else about it was really well designed and novel. Like mentioned, I've never seen a Minecraft server with this style of dungeon run mechanics before. It's very creative and I think has a lot of potential. It's just let down by the lackluster combat. Now, you might be thinking, why is the server seemingly so grindy simply for the sake of being grindy instead of making the quests more centered around skill and challenge? And I think one of the reasons for that is ultimately due to the server's monetization model and store. As thrown into our face when first joining the server, SoulSteel does in fact have a store that houses a variety of items, including advantageous pay-to-win goods. First of all, there's a bunch of cosmetics, which while certainly on the pricier end, are all custom made and designed, which is nice. The server's visual design and art is stellar across the board clearly. But then there is also a lot of boosts. As we went through earlier, I had to spend a decent amount of time just grinding Chrono Essence to level up my dungeon to finish the last quest. And guess what? There are multiple Chrono Essence boosters available to purchase that double the rate at which you collect it, alongside a booster for scrip, which is like the server's currency used to buy, craft and upgrade tools, armor, accessories and more, a weapon loyalty booster which doubles the speed you level up your weapon, making it stronger, which significantly increases how powerful you are in dungeons, and then even a general resource boost. All of these essentially double the speed you progress at, which when doing so no longer feels unnecessarily grindy or repetitive, almost as if progression was deliberately slowed so that the boosts almost feel necessary to progress. Arguably the worst offender of this though though, is related to crafting and crafting boosters. One aspect of the game I didn't get into is crafting. In SoulSteel, you can create a variety of goods, from items to accessories to runes, all of which requiring script, the server's currency, as well as special resources and materials, which in of themselves can be quite grindy to obtain. But then, when crafting something, it can take hours for it actually to craft and become an item you can use, of which the server sells these handy craft time skips, which let you skip 1 hour of crafting time. It's essentially like using gems in Clash of Clans to finish an upgrade early. This just sounds like another case where they created a problem, that being item crafting time, that artificially makes the game more grindy, and then solved it by having something you can buy with real money to speed it up or skip it. They've made progression artificially slower again, so that you are more enticed to spend money to speed it up. To be fair, you can earn some of these for free from quests and gameplay later on, but not that many by the looks of it. Then there's the bundles and armor sets you can buy. These are pretty pricey, all of which being about 3,500 mine coins or about $20 US, some of which being literally the best gear in the game. However, in my opinion, this part of the store I think is the most well done and most balanced. I would prefer it if SoulSteel's dungeons and quests were instead more reliant on player skill, where the pay-to-win element can be used by players who aren't as skilled to more easily complete the dungeon by buying better gear, rather than the pay-to-win element being more focused around speeding up grindy, artificially slow progression. The server needs to make money at the end of the day to remain operational, so it needs to be pay-to-win in some regard, and I like the way the armor and items has gone about doing that. Additionally, all the custom gear in the shop also looks very cool visually, nicely and creatively designed. It's not low effort whatsoever. Finally, there's the ranks, which is what I find most interesting. There is only one rank you can buy on the server, but it's split into 3 subscription type categories, as you cannot buy it permanently, only for either 30 days, 90 days or 1 year. The rank perks once again just speed up artificially slowed gameplay, basically giving you permanent boosts of every type as well as faster crafting times, and the 1 year version of the rank costs a whopping 6,840 mine coins, about $40 to $50 depending on the mine coin bundle you buy. That's actually not that expensive when you compare it to a Java server's ranks, but I think this rank might actually be the most expensive thing on the Minecraft marketplace period. It seems clear that the ranks are the main thing the server wants you to keep buying, as I feel like if you bought it once for 30 days and got used to all the boosts and faster progression, going back to having your progress be at the normal artificially slowed speed would be quite unbearable, enticing you to want to buy it again. The boosts you can buy also stack with the rank boosts while not being able to stack by themselves, which makes buying a rank even more desirable. Once again, it just seems like the ranks were created to solve a problem that has been artificially created. One thing I want to make clear is that I only spent a few hours playing the server. There is more content to explore later on. You can unlock a few new weapons and armor pieces, you can start crafting other goods and accessories, there's special quests against high level mobs, and you can find special goods as well as puzzles in the dungeons, but in general from what I've seen on YouTube, the core gameplay and combat loop never really changes. Learning this after unlocking the second dungeon just caused me to lose any remaining motivation I had to play, since it didn't really seem like there was anything notably new or fun to continue grinding for. Furthermore, this is all ultimately my opinion, remember. Some people might enjoy the gameplay loop, and that's fine. This is simply my experience. I also want to make it clear that I honestly have no issue with the server being pay to win. Everything in their store is completely fine in my opinion, much better monetized than most Java servers which have pay to win gambling, mind you. The only reason I dislike elements of it is because it feels like the server's progression has been deliberately slowed to make the goods in their store feel more necessary to obtain, rather than making progression slowed down by a lack of skill, which you could then buy advantageous items with real money to solve, which is the way I prefer pay to win to be done. This gives players the opportunity to pay to win or improve their skill, which is a more balanced approach in my opinion. At the end of the day, the server's monetization is ethical, there's no pay to win gambling through crate keys or anything, and like mentioned, compared to the average Java server, its goods aren't really that expensive, so we should cut them some slack. Give the server a try yourself, you might enjoy it, but I think that the server is just not for me. Although I can commend the creativity and unique game design they've succeeded in pulling off, and I hope the server ends up being a success in the long term, because if so, it might encourage more people and companies to invest into Minecraft multiplayer, which has been on a decline the past few years. Be sure to subscribe, thank you all so much for watching.